All right, it's going to be assignment number 5 for all the AutoCAD students. We're going to be drawing a wheel, and we're going to have to draw it to scales. The first thing I'd like you guys to notice is the fact that this is imperial. It's not metric, okay? And you can tell that by looking at a few things. But the primary giveaway is going to be the 0.875, 0.125, and 0.625. Those are all decimal equivalencies of 1/8, 7/8, and 5/8. So this is going to be in inches. So this looks a lot like an actual pulley or something like a V-belt would sit in, and you have a little keyway here. So we're going to use the polar array command, the same thing you used on the snowflake, to make these spokes. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, remember, you want to be in model space, and you're going to want to go ahead and set the units and limits. Just adjust the screen so you guys can still see the command prompt. All right. Make sure it's an architectural and inches. Okay. Lower left-hand corner, upper right. I always just set it a lot larger. Feet, 10 feet should be fine for us. All right, so we're ready to get started. So let's go ahead and take a look at this again. We're going to start off with some concentric circles. You don't necessarily have to, but we can. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 concentric circles. Concentric just means they're sharing the same center point. So if we look at the outside one first, it's a 6-inch diameter. So you can use center radius. You just have to remember to change the diameter to radius. So we're going to use center diameter. Like this, we'll say 6 inches. Remember on the middle mouse button, the scroll will zoom in and out. And if you press and hold it, that will pan it around. Next one in, 4.625. And diameter. Again, this little circle with a line through it means diameter, in case you didn't already know that. Right. Next, right here, 1.5 diameter, and the inner one is 0.875, so 1.5. Remember, hover near the edge, we get the center point. And then 0.875. All right, so we've got our concentric circles drawn. The next thing I would do, let's go ahead and get this little keyway done. So it's a total of 0.915 from the bottom to the top. So easy way to do that, we'll use the line command. Make sure down here on O snaps, you want quadrant. That will allow us to snap to the very bottom center or very far right and very far left. So basically the 4 quadrants of a circle. We're going to go straight up. This is just going to be a construction line. Now if we look at the width here, 0.25. It's 1/4 of an inch wide on the keyway. We'll zoom in a little bit. I'm going to use the offset command right here. Click the offset command, and we'll offset 0.125, which is 1/8 of an inch, which is half of the 0.25, which is 1/4 of an inch. And we'll offset this line each direction. Now we have the width that we'll need, and we can go ahead and get rid of this line in the middle. All right, 0.915 was the height again. So now we'll go back, redraw our line in the middle. And you could have done this initially too. Very first line. There we go. So that's the height we have. I'll do here, we'll draw right. If you enter, it gets out of it. It'll get back in it if you enter again. We can go to the trim command. We will hit enter, and we can trim the outside here and the outside here. If we go back into the trim command, we'll say we want to cut to there, hit enter. Then we can trim these top 2 lines if you like. Okay. We can delete our line in the middle. We can trim all the lines up to that point. So now we have our little keyway drawn. So again, we drew a middle line. We offset it each way 1/8 of an inch. And then we did our 0.915 up, drew a horizontal line, and trimmed everything appropriately. So it's pretty easy so far. Now we just have to do the spokes of the wheel. So where to start from here? Rather than figuring out all of these angles, we know that we have 5 spokes. I would just draw one that we know where it's at, which is this one, straight down. And we know that they're 1/2 inch wide. So it says all 5. 5 times 0.5 means all 5 of these are 1/2 inch wide. All right. Escape a few times to make sure you're out of that command. Draw from the center. Straight down. Hit enter. Now we're 1/2 inch wide, so we want to go ahead and offset by 0.25, half that distance. Each direction. In the middle. And we'll say we want to trim both to this circle and this circle. Enter. And we have 1 spoke done. So if you notice, there's a little fillet, a little curve right here. That's called a fillet. That's on each side. I don't think it actually gives us right here fillets. Radius is 0.125, so that's 1/8 of an inch. So I think we should go ahead and add the fillet in right now. Go down here. This right here is the fillet command. And if you go down, there's also a chamfer command. Chamfer is a straight corner. We're going to do the fillet. And if we look in the command prompt at the bottom, it says, well, what do we want to do? We want to select the radius. So you can hit R, enter, or click on this. We'll say 0.125, enter. Click there and there. We'll hit enter again to get back into it. Now, once you've already set the radius, it's going to be set for the same radius you used previous to that. So you can just keep right on using that same radius. Just keep hitting enter to get back into the command. Now let's go ahead and see, did we have to delete any other lines, erase them? No, I think we're good. All right, so at this point, what we're going to want to do, we'll go back into the polar array. Again, it's the same array command that you used for the snowflake. Okay, so we've selected that one smaller again so you guys can see it. Okay, so down here in the command prompt, you'll see we select the array, what we want to array, we hit enter, and then I say, where do you want to array it around? We'll click on the exact middle, and we want to change this to 5 because there are 5 spokes. Okay, there we go. Pretty easy. Now, you do not have to dimension this one. If you want to, you can. It would be good practice, but you're going to have to do one more thing if you want to. Again, you don't have to. It's not a requirement of the project. So down here at the bottom, you want to type in dim style. Go to modify. Primary units, make sure you change it to architectural. And then we'll go back here to the text. Now, each one of those webs was 1/2 inch wide, so you probably want to set the text height at 1/2 inch or just a little smaller. We go 0.375. We'll go at 3/8 of an inch. So now if you want to dimension, you'll use this down arrow, and we can click on whatever we want. So diameter for the outside one, 6 inches. So you can go through, feel free to dimension it. If not, you're ready to go. Now, last time, a lot of people submitted this as a DWG file. Remember, I want you to go ahead and export it as a PDF. Okay, it's much easier for me to open them up. So export them as PDF. You can save it for yourself if you want to as a DWG file, so just regular file save as, drawing, and then also export it to me as a PDF. All right, that's it. Thanks.